Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of We Watch We Watch Shudder. My name is JD. Who's here with me?
It's Michelle. I'm also here with the spiders.
We're watching the spiders. Oh my god. Just gonna look, you guys, I'm just gonna tell you straight off the bat. JD and spiders we're not friends. We're not on speaking terms. This is gonna be a fun episode. So anyway, we're talking about a spider movie. We'll get to that in a minute. Michelle, how you doing?
Well, I was good. And then I turned on today's
Then you
fucking
watched the
movie
spider movie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
watched the spider movie. Yep. I,
Yeah.
I was doing actually no, I take that back. I answered that I was good, but I was not good. I did have a shitty day, and now I'm
Oh,
realizing this movie just ended it.
you went from bad
It
to worse?
Yeah, because I went and I got my hair did this morning and that was great, but it was also drizzling rain, which is my favorite kind of
Uh-huh.
weather, but after getting my hair done and feeling fine as hell, I went to run a couple errands and every time I got out of my car, that's when it started downpouring and just whipping really fast wind. It was like this off and on thing all morning and every time I got out of my car is when it started again. So if you're in the Fargo Moorhead area and you're wondering what the hell was happening with the weather, sorry for that. I guess it's my fault.
Um,
So that happened to me this morning, and I'm still mad about it.
I don't how do I put this? So you have clearly identified that the pattern is you get out of your car and it starts raining really heavily.
Yeah.
Why not just never get out of your car?
I would have loved to do that, but I did have to go pick. Oh, and then one of the times that I had to get out of my car was to go get my new glasses. And when I got in there, she's like, "Oh, you're not wearing contacts, are you?" And I went, "Yes, I am." And she went, "Oh, well, you have to check the prescription." I went, "Okay, do you have a place that I can put my contacts?" And she just stared at me. And I'm like, "We're in an optometrist's office. I know you do." So she just like stared at me and I went, which I could see because I was wearing my contacts. So then I'm like, I'm like, well, I can just take them home. I mean, I don't mind coming back if I need to. Like, how often do you really have to return your glasses because they come in wrong? And she's like, it happens every once in a while. And I like went, okay. And I took them home and they're fucking shattered. The lenses on my new glasses. Like I took them out of I was like, how did you not see this? Was she not wearing contacts? Is that why? Did she not have her eyes in? So I'm just like, God damn it. I got soaked picking up these goddamn glasses. What a morning.
And you can't even wear
That
them.
happened.
You
I know.
can't
15
even
hours
wear
ago.
them.
Still
Michelle,
grumpy about it.
Michelle, Michelle.
Wow. You shouldn't have
Michelle,
asked how I was, apparently. Fuck.
look, I know we got a movie to talk about, but
Yeah.
I am getting more and more and more excited. Of course, it got officially announced We Watch Shudder sponsoring the Chicago Horror Film Festival, along with a bunch of other cool sponsors. We're not like, yeah, this is our thing now. You know, it's not that. No, but the wild part is Michelle did a lot of the negotiating here for us because she handles all the business. I'm just the I'm
That's
just
me.
the
I'm the
ideas
business.
man. I'm the ideas man, and Michelle handles the business. We were under the impression that we were going to get opportunity to go down there and just like interview some guests of the festival and everything, and maybe do some records to put on the show. But they're letting us do a whole like live recording. They got this awesome little lounge there where we're gonna set up, and I'm just gonna be like, my plan is to just post up at one of the tables in the lounge and have the festival guests come and chat with me. But we're just gonna chat loud enough so anybody else who's in the lounge can hear us and hang out and maybe pass a microphone around for some questions. It's why I have never done a live podcast recording ever in my life. I may embarrass myself. I may not embarrass myself. Who knows? It's gonna be wild.
And I will not be there.
Yeah, but you're going to Vegas and you're gonna do all
I
sorts of
know.
cool stuff there that I don't get to go do.
Ooh, I got a list of things. I've started working on my schedule while I'm down there. Of course, I have like, okay, so Vegas, I'm not going to get into it too much because it's a long story, but I'm going
Well, and
for work.
also, I'm pretty sure we've gone through all of this a couple of times. Not just Vegas. I'm
Oh,
not putting
no,
it
I
all
have
on you.
new. I have new
Oh,
stuff
Jesus,
though.
of course you do, because you have to fill literally every single minute of every single day.
I do. Because I was going for business. I'm still going for business, but then I'm staying the weekend after because I don't get to go to Vegas very often.
So,
And then what? What?
oh, oh,
What?
well,
Oh,
sorry, I
you
didn't
had
mean
a
to
question.
interrupt. Continue.
Oh.
No. I was going to ask a question, and then I decided not to ask the question, but I interrupted anyway
But you still
because
made this out.
it's in my DNA. I apologize. I'm going to turn this microphone off. You talk.
I'm not gonna talk for too long, I promise. So I am going to Vegas for business, and then I'm staying the weekend after, and I was so excited to be in Vegas by myself. And then I bought some mace, so I was fully prepared to be in Vegas by myself. But then I put out a status on Facebook, and I asked people what they wanted to do. And my friend Kristen messaged, and she's like, "Hey, if you want company, I can just fly up there pretty quickly because I'm in Albuquerque." I went, "Hell yeah!" So then she's coming to Vegas, and then this past week we mentioned to our friend Sarah, who's one of Kristen's like bestest friends, that she could come with if she wanted to. And then she immediately booked a ticket. So now suddenly I'm going for a business trip to girls' weekend. And I'm so excited. I've never done a girls' weekend where we're so far away that we have to fly. I feel like such an adult. I let them into my itinerary, which includes a spreadsheet with the hours that everything is open and whether you need to reserve a ticket in advance and what the costs are. And then I started putting out my own schedule and saying like, okay, well this I'll try to do during the week because you guys don't really want to do it. So when my conference is done at like 8 p.m. each night, I'll go wander and do something that's on my list. So I'm so excited, and I let them into the crazy a little bit. Where I'm like, I'm fine branching off. You guys don't have to come to the bodies exhibit, but I am going to the bodies exhibit.
Are
So
you
yeah, Vegas.
are you gonna make them go to the spooky thing, the haunted whatever?
Zach Bagans. So I'm iffy on Zach Bagans Haunted Museum now because it is 2 hours for $80, and Sarah has done it before and does not want to do it again. And I'm like, you don't
Ah.
want to go shit talk Annabelle? And she's like, I was so tired at the end of that tour. So I'm like, oh, well, going by myself, but I still might. It
Yeah.
depends. Saturday is up in the air. I wanna, but I also $80. Jesus, I'm already spending 110 for the sphere. So it's gonna be if I
You're
did
paying
everything on my list.
you're paying $110 just to go inside the sphere?
No, Darren Aronofsky's film plays. I forgot the name of it, but it's all about global warming and humans destroying the earth. And this is showing in the sphere, which is having a gigantic carbon footprint. So it feels kind of counterintuitive.
Yeah. That,
Yeah.
I mean, that's very Las Vegas, I guess. That's definitely very Las Vegas. God, I don't even know it. First of all, Darren Aronofsky made a movie about climate change.
Mm-hmm.
Is it
It's 55 minutes
is
and it
this a
costs
movie?
$100.
Like you people are just gonna have to fucking wait for us to talk about Spider movie. Is this like a movie that was specifically made to be shown in the sphere?
Yes.
And so you go inside and you watch it kind of all around you?
Yes.
And they let
It looks
Darren Aronofsky do
incredible.
that?
Yes. And JD's
How
not the biggest fan. I am a gigantic Darren
how is
Aronofsky
he
fan.
going to make this documentary about global warming tell the story of someone who lets their obsessions destroy their lives? How is it going to tell? That's the only story he knows, Michelle. Obsession destroys your life.
Well, here's the thing. I'm just glad that I get to go watch this movie that I've seen very little about because I want to be very excited. But I saw rockets blasting off into space and they're all around you, and that's cool.
I
But like I'm glad I get to see that and not the whale. So
I
I'm just gonna like count my blessings.
I gotta be honest. Like, if they did like some sort of like fancy updated planetarium type program in the sphere, I would be totally down for that for sure.
Oh,
But
same. But instead,
yeah.
Darren
So,
Aronofsky it made a
oh
climate
God.
change movie. And you know what? Fine.
Speaking of Darren
I'm
Aronofsky,
excited.
just in case you guys haven't swung by WeWatchShudder.com and looked at the schedule recently, Mother's Day is coming up. And I said to Michelle, hey, I know we just had this debacle where I asked you to watch 4 Toxic Avenger movies. And I was going to ask if you wanted to do Mother's Day for Mother's Day, but that's, I believe, also a trauma film. So what do you want to do? And what did you say, Michelle?
Mother by Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen this movie. I have seen this movie. Michelle knows how I feel about this movie. She's punishing me. Anyway.
It just happened to be after you punished me. Either way, I would have asked for Mother. I just had a lot more sway power after
It's really
Toxic
kind of an
Avenger.
ideal Mother's Day movie in a lot of ways.
Ugh.
Well,
Welcome to our Darren Aronofsky fan podcast. Welcome.
No, that's not what this is. But we have
Infested.
probably put off talking about spiders about as long as we can get away with.
Yeah.
There are for sure parts of this movie I don't ever want to see again. But let's not get into it too soon. Michelle, would you like to tell these people what this movie is about according to the Internet Movie Database on account of how Shudder wrote a novel again?
Yeah. As time goes by, I appreciate Shudder's novels. I just wish that they weren't so easy to read when you clicked into the movie.
That's fair. And at some point we have to stop blaming Shudder. Obviously, like, these have to be written by the movie people, right? And they're just like, here's your character limit. Tell us what you want it to say. Yeah. But I'm going to blame Shudder, so.
They're definitely growing on me. I just hate that sometimes I read things that are massive spoilers. But I do think it's cool to get like the whole history of a movie that's been out for a while. It's just like, God damn it, make it harder for me to get spoiled while I'm clicking.
Yeah, how hard would it be to just be like a click here for more information? For that matter, how hard would it be to be like a click here for trigger warning sorts of stuff? Come on, man. It's 2024. Let's get on the ball. I just wanted to bring up trigger warnings because I'm in a mood to just like make anti-woke people feel like they want to punch me. And so
I'm very anti-woke. I love sleep.
I'm weird. By the way, if you haven't watched this movie yet, trigger warning, there's some animal stuff in this one, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Michelle, take control. Michelle, take the wheel. That's Carrie Underwood's song, right?
Oh shit, we're in the ditch. I'm so sorry.
Oh shit.
Okay, Infested from IMDb. Residents of a rundown French apartment building battle against an army of deadly, rapidly reproducing spiders.
Yeah.
2023. I love rundown French apartment building. Is just like, how is it different than other apartment buildings? It's in France. But
also, did you see the design of that thing? If that like on the inside it looks like hell, but on the outside, we'll talk about it more when we get into the spoiler section.
It looks so cool on the outside.
Yeah. I would live in that
apartment building. That's
sure.
an important plot point. This could never happen in America. Only France.
Well, I don't think they're trying to say it could only happen in France. I just think they're just saying it just happened to happen in France.
Yeah,
that is where it happened. Was in France.
Yeah,
as far as I know. Anyway.
Well, Shady, I would like to hear your spoiler-free thoughts on the fucking Spider movie.
Okay, spoiler-free thoughts on Verminace, aka Infested. Look, here's what I have to say, first of all, is there are parts of this movie that I can't fairly judge how genuinely like how scary they were based on how well crafted the movie is. And that's not the movie's fault. That's that I have a very deep-rooted and still at 43 years old, highly active, primal fear of spiders. And so I don't know if how I was reacting was just because of oh shit spiders or because of the skill involved in presenting oh shit spiders. That being said, this movie really kept me on my toes in a lot of those moments. But there are a couple of things. There's one thing in particular with the spiders that I'm not going to put here in this section. But as we get further and further into the movie, it pulled me further and further out of it. We'll talk about that more in detail. Also, this movie tries to do a whole lot of character stuff and bring some drama into it. And I'm not entirely sure why, but the scary action horror spider bits and the more dramatic character storyline bits never really quite gelled to me. It felt like I was watching two movies. But I will say, this fellow who made this movie, and his name is not coming to me right off the top of my head. Let me pull it up here. Sebastian Vanacek. He's the guy they brought in to make the next Evil Dead movie, and based on this, I'm real excited to see what he does. This one only kind of worked for me. I'm going to give this one 3 out of 5. Skulls.
Ooh, okay.
In case you're wondering. 3 out of 5 spider skulls. Do spiders have skulls?
Well, they have carapaces, and
Okay,
they're
that's
not
fair.
really bones, but I would think like it kind of counts. But the skull is their whole body
Yeah.
at the same time, kind of.
Gotcha. All right. How about your
Ugh.
spoiler-free thoughts on the spider movie, Michelle?
Yeah, this fucked me up in a way that a lot of movies don't. We have talked, I don't get scared by stuff very often. I was crawling out of my skin like a fucking wolf spider molting. Oh my God. I also have a primal fear of spiders. Mine is based on some pretty intense childhood trauma. So while some would say irrational fear of spiders, mine is very rational and makes a lot of sense. I do think spiders are really cool when they're far away from me. And like if I go to a zoo and they have like an insect area, I love watching them through glass. I have had friends who had pet tarantulas, and I'm like, I can't touch that thing. I know it's cute when you hold it, but I would probably squish it just out of instinct, and I don't want to do that. Like spiders are cool. I am subscribed to a YouTube channel that is all about peacock spider mating dances, and those are fucking great. Just queue up a video feed of peacock spiders doing their thing. That's great. That's a great Friday night. They were all over the fucking people, and that's not cool. Yeah, I was so uncomfortable. I was legitimately freaked out. Like you said, I don't know about how this would have worked with any other thing. Like if a puppy was the problem, might not have freaked me out as much. Maybe millions of tiny puppies could have done it, but fuck, this it had my heart racing in a way that my heart has been racing, and is the reason I have a stress test scheduled for next weekend. And my cardiologist is gonna be like, your heart is even worse. What happened? I'm gonna be like, the fucking spider movie. I'm giving it a 4.5.
Okay, pause just a moment. 4.5, that's great. 4.5 plus 3 is 7.5. That's 3.75 average. There, we got the math out of the way. We'll
Yep.
come back to it in a minute.
Yeah.
You're having a stress test like 2 days before you're supposed to fly to Las Vegas?
Yep.
Don't you feel like you're tempting fate there, Michelle? Like, what are you
I've
going to
been
do if your
tempting
doctor
fate the whole
says,
time.
oh... I mean, I guess one could say that if your doctor says, no, you can't fly to Las Vegas, then it's a good thing that you went to see him.
Yeah.
But would it be?
Ooh, you're assuming my doctor is a man? Wow.
Oh, wow. You're not wrong. I did just do that. I did just assume pronouns.
Cassandra
Jesus.
is a very well-educated woman, and I adore her.
Apologize for assuming your pronouns, gender identity, and all those other things. Cassandra,
She is
did you
the
say?
default. Yeah, she's great.
He is you're right though, but that's the problem, is that he is the default. That's the entire thing we're trying to get away from here, Michelle. Yeah, because we're fucking woke here. Go fuck yourselves. Anyway,
Told you I want to be back asleep though.
I do want to point out, I feel a little bad, and this is a part of why Michelle does most of the interacting on the social media. Is Michelle put up her regular post about, she puts up a post about each new episode, and she put up the one about the Toxic Avenger, and somebody put a comment on there about saying something positive about Toxic Avenger 4 Citizen Toxie, and I replied, he said something about it being like a cool superhero team, and I replied, yeah, but it's also a disgustingly stereotypical portrayal of terribly marginalized people and more or less complete trash. And then they deleted their comment and I feel really bad because the last thing I want to do is be aggressive with anybody who's trying to engage with us. If you're listening, I'm very sorry. I don't remember your name, and I can't
I
figure
do.
out your
It was a
name.
mutual friend. I
Oh.
will send you their name.
Okay. I'm very sorry. I just get a little carried away sometimes. Please don't. You know who it was. Okay, well, that's good. Anyway. We should probably now do our spoilery type thought. Go see the spider. This will surprise you, Michelle. Honestly, I'm so much of a Primal Fear spider person. I've never even seen Arachnophobia, so I can't tell you how this compares to that as being like the most legendary scary spider movie that I know of. But
Arachnophobia is fun.
here's
That's
what
a
I know.
good movie.
Really, I might have
Yeah.
to check it out. Does it freak you out like this one did?
No.
Oh.
This one legitimately made me so uncomfortable. Arachnophobia is just like, I don't know. I think they didn't have the technology that they do now, so it was just like,
That's
oh,
fair.
that's a whole bunch of spiders. This
So-
one is ugh.
Yeah, if you want to see it before we spoil things, go do that now. Okay, did you come back? Great. Michelle,
Yeah.
do you think you're going to be able to, can I predict your plotline summary of this movie?
You know what? Go for it.
Here's
What's my plotline
Michelle's
summary?
plot lines. I think I can do it justice, not just as doing it, but as how I feel like
Mhm.
you would address this particular movie.
Yep.
There's some dudes, and it looks like they are in Africa or maybe the Middle East. It is a desert scenario of some kind. They're going out and flipping over rocks in the desert. There's a hole under one of those rocks. Oh shit, there's spiders in that hole. Oh, and then they take one of the spiders to France for whatever reason, and it's in a pawn shop in France. And a guy buys it and takes it to his bedroom, but then, oh shit, it gets out. Now there's fucking spiders everywhere. Oh shit, spiders, more spiders, spiders. Oh fuck, the cops are also assholes. More spiders, bigger spiders. That giant fucking spider. Wait, he just ran away and let him out? Okay, the end.
You know what? Yeah. Yeah. That was a better summary than mine was gonna be. Yes.
Yeah.
I co-opt all of that.
Spiders and spiders and spiders.
The only thing you did not mention that I would have is that all of this happens over a really fucking great soundtrack. I need
we're
that
gonna have.
soundtrack.
Oh, that's funny you said that, Michelle, because there
Ooh.
were a number of times watching this movie where I literally said in my own head to myself, "Man, French hip hop does not do it for me."
I love French hip hop.
Oh, that's. Yeah, that's one where we, and again, if French hip hop is your thing, that's fine. But oh man, I was like, whoa, this is.
I used
There's
to be
one
super into Chitty Bang.
when we first
Is he
meet.
French? He might be British. Never mind.
When we first meet Manon in the bathroom, a weird French Manon. I'll just say it like you pronounce all the letters in it. When we first meet her in the bathroom ripping tiles off the wall, there's some kind of crazy metal song playing, and I can't identify what it was, and I couldn't tell from the credits because they're all in French, and I didn't see any names that looked like they might be metal band names. That was the one song that I thought was kind of cool.
I found the playlist on Spotify, so I'll listen and send you the one that's metal based on the pictures I'm looking at. There are a few contenders, and then
me the
most
names.
of the other ones were. Okay, so there is Benjamin Epps. That's not the one. Lay Low. No, I think that was the one I really liked at the beginning. Hero, Keroue, and then there's Mohan Baha and Osiris Jack. Those are the ones that were not by Double Danger. Double Danger did basically everything else.
Oh, okay. Well, Double Danger. Michelle thinks you're cool.
I do. I pulled up the Spotify playlist already. I
Sweet.
really like this music.
So, let me break down here. So, first of all, like I said, this movie, it has all these crazy, like it opens with this cool sort of suspenseful spider sequence out in the desert while they're looking for the spiders. This dude gets bit by one, and then the next thing you know, one of the other dudes is macheteing his damned head off. It's a real intense right away opening, right? And in the spidery moments, it's like real high intensity. It's real, like, it's quick because the spiders in this movie, first of all, are fast as fuck. The way a lot of
Oh, they're
spiders
so
really
fast.
are, which is part of
They're
what's
so
so
fast.
goddamn terrifying about them, is when they want to be, they're fast as fuck.
Oh, I just
Uh,
got the goosebumps just
yeah,
thinking about it.
and but then also this movie and a commendable effort, and I'm sure for some people it worked better than it did for me. It just didn't connect with me. It also has this story about Caleb and his sister, and their mom has recently passed away, and they live in this sort of rundown building already as it is. Kind of like a housing project sort of place, whatever the French equivalent of that would be, and there a lot of personal struggles there, and this whole thing. The kid has been accused of being a drug dealer, and maybe he was a drug dealer at one point in the past. And I hate to say it because I don't want to, like, I'm not saying that dubbed is in any way better. Like, subtitled is the way to go. But for me, uh, part of watching any movie with subtitles, unfortunately, is that I can only get lost in it so far because I have to maintain a certain amount of focus on the subtitles. Whereas with a movie in English, I can just let go of that and be consumed and get absorbed into the story. And so I was missing a little bit of that here. I think I was just never able to get caught up in it. Also, the tone is so, and the energy is so drastically different. The spider stuff is so high energy and so quickly paced, and the dramatic stuff is very, I'm not going to say it's slow in a bad way, but it is very ponderous, deliberate drama, and they shift those gears so often, and it just never really gelled for me. I thought each one did what it was doing well, but it just never quite sunk together. How about for you?
I actually loved how sad and dramatic the parts outside of the really high intense spider stuff was. It didn't gel for you. For me, it I think that shift made it so that when danger was happening and they're running and screaming, it felt so much more intense because it also helped me connect with these people a lot more. I found myself actually remembering people's names, and I'm terrible at remembering people's names. But
Yeah, I do.
Jordy dying was so upsetting,
It
and I
is
cared.
interesting that you mentioned that because I do remember every one of these characters' names. You had
Hmm.
Caleb and his sister Manon, and then her
Hmm.
friend Lila,
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 and Lila's boyfriend Jordy, and then
hmm
Caleb's friend Mati.
Matisse.
I think it's Mati is how you pronounce it. I don't
Okay.
think you pronounce the S, but I don't know. Mathis. Mathis fucks the police,
Mathis.
by the way. I definitely
Mathis.
caught that subtitle right at the end there. Mathis fucks the police. That was pretty fucking rad. But so that's an interesting point because much
Hmm.
like you, I often have a hard time. I do find myself wondering, at least for me, how much of that is connected to having to watch the subtitles and seeing
Hmm.
it over and over and over. I'm sure that has something to do with it as well.
Yeah, but I watch a lot of stuff with subtitles because now I'm always looking for squelching subtitles.
Of course.
And I still don't remember names. I think they did a
Thou
really good
shalt
job of
squelch.
it. Thou shalt squelch. I They did a really good job of making me care about these characters, reiterating their names. A lot of things just don't say the names after they say it once. They're like, "This is my friend Jack," and we never hear Jack's name ever again. So I think that just goes to show like how good and natural this dialogue was. That I cared and I paid attention and I knew exactly what Caleb's background was. I knew exactly what his hustle was, what his life goals were, what his conflict with his sister was. There's a really well fleshed out story and background. It wasn't just a movie where this guy, we don't care about him, he unleashed a spider in his apartment building. It also the fact that this happened to this apartment building, which says in the descriptions very run down. These are people with not a lot of money. They're being killed because the police don't really care about this area, and so they're like, man, whatever. It's not rich people who are getting fucked up by spiders. So it happened to an already very like impoverished group of people, so that like when it went to that dramatic moment at the end showing the apartment building being taken down, like everybody who wasn't there and killed by a spider is now homeless and lost everything. And I think that really somber note really struck like a chord with me and stuck with me. This was a movie that horrified me at parts, but then it really made me care so much. And I think didn't gel for you. For me, it gelled perfectly, and I love that. I was so into it.
Yeah, and like I said myself, like I do think the dramatic parts and those parts of the movie were well done. I do want to say just specifically for me, it wasn't that any of it was specifically not to my liking. It's just the shift was too much for me. And I ultimately I think my experience with this movie is all of these things combined, right? There's a little bit from the subtitle element. We've talked before that I also just have a little bit of ADHD issue where following the subtitles makes me anxious that I'm missing something on the screen. And then, all these and I think they all just kind of contribute a little bit to just the overall experience of not quite being able to get that point where I'm just completely carried away. This maybe more than any of them is one where I want to very much emphasize my experience here is not this movie's fault. It is really well made, especially the creepy bits. I did mention something in my spoiler free though that I want to talk about how the further into the movie we got, there was a little bit of a detachment for me, specifically from the spider fear. And we've talked before that a lot of times I like more of a monster movie where it's like a Godzilla, King Kong action-y monster movie. Horror monster movies aren't always really my vibe. Ultimately, just the bigger the spiders got, the less it creeped me out because they were less realistic. The creepiest parts of this to me were the early scenes where they were still very realistic, very fucking like this movie at one point I would have told you fuck Jordan Peele, this movie is called Nope. Like in fact this movie would be called fucking Nope. Just F word on the title, fucking Nope. There are bits in that first 45 minutes or so of this that just made my skin crawl, gonna make it real difficult to sleep for a couple of days. I like genuinely every little thing I see out of the corner of my eye is gonna make me think spiders for a while. But the bigger they got, as they got bigger and bigger and bigger, right up to that point at the end where there's this giant spider just sitting right in front of their car, and I do want to talk about that in a bit as well. How about you? Like you mentioned that there were parts of this that just terrified you to your core. Did that have any effect on you, like as they became more unrealistically large, or how did that work for you?
I think the only one that didn't work for me is also the one outside of the car. Up until that, I think that progression that they showed of like each time they saw one, they're like, these things are getting bigger. Like that's a very scary concept.
For
So
sure.
while in the beginning, like when it's he kills one by stepping on it and then suddenly he's covered in spiders, that was still like a very different, like a primal reaction. And I'm kind of glad that I wasn't stuck in that headspace for the rest of the movie and I could actually enjoy it, because if it had just been like tons of baby spiders all over everybody the whole time, I think I would have been in such like a fight or flight panic mode
Oh yeah,
that I wouldn't have been able to enjoy it. So kind of
baby
like as they
spiders
got
creep me
bigger,
out almost more than full size spiders because they come
yeah,
in thousands, right?
I won't get into like how bad my living situation was growing up, but I lived in a spider infested home.
Oh,
And
I
the
lived in a
thing,
trailer house that had, especially in the
yep.
entryway, there was one summer where
Oh,
we got like 2 or 3 spider eggs up in the corners of the entryway, and a couple of like
yep.
2 of them burst at the same time. It took forever before I could even go into the house because I had to go through that entryway where the spider eggs were.
Yep. Basically the same thing. I moved my dresser and a spider egg burst and
Oh my
I was
god.
covered in baby spiders.
Oh,
Yeah. No,
okay.
like people say it's an irrational fear. Nope, for us,
It's
very
very
rational.
rational
Very
fear. Very
rational.
rational. Yeah.
I
But
think
anyway,
they're cool from afar, but
yeah.
please do
Te-
not touch me.
tell us about the stuff that terrified you.
Yeah, I think just like at the beginning they did such a good job of just for people who have arachnophobia, they catered to that. The opening scene in the desert interested me, especially when it like freeze frames to him killing that guy and then cuts to music that I really enjoyed. So that opening brought me in, but the part where like you just know like there's a fucking spider in that shoe. There's a spider in that shoe. Oh
Oh
my god,
yeah.
I have a fear of a spider being in my
Yeah.
shoe. And like it just it took the fear that it assumes that so many people have and it was correct and it just
Yeah.
went, hey, this is a nightmare scenario, isn't it? And it just built on that. But then eventually when the entire place is just covered in cobwebs, I found myself kind of relaxing a little bit and I
Yeah.
wasn't as scared at those moments, but I was more interested in the way that I usually am with horror movies of
Right.
I'm not scared, but I am having a good time now. I think I would have been way too panicky if they
Yeah.
had
And I think
kept that primal fear.
it's got to be connected to just that slightly less realistic element, right? As they
Yep.
get bigger, because yeah, the most intense stuff, and I really like the way that there are 2 things that I want to talk about with the way the spiders get bigger, because I feel like the way that progressed was, like you said, done really well. The first thing is early on when they're still small and they're just getting a little bigger. I'm not even sure yet that they're getting bigger, and I'm just not like having like a psychological experience where they look big and creepy. I thought
Or
that
it's an editing mistake.
right.
We're like, oh, did they not realize what
Oh no,
size they
I
were throughout the
at
movie?
no point at all did I think that at all.
Ugh.
I it was either, but then and then of course as it moves on, I'm like, okay, they are getting bigger. But then I think the best example of that is towards the end of the movie when they're making their way up to the rooftop and the guy has the crank, Mathis has the crank flashlight, and they're going up this stairwell, and every now and then the flashlight dies and he's got to turn around and crank it again. I am pretty sure the spiders are slightly bigger every time the light turns on as they're going up that
Mm-hmm.
stairwell. And
Yep.
that, as just a set piece, was really well done.
Ugh. Ugh.
Just yeah, because they show you just enough to register that they're a little bigger every time, and that's a balance that you could very easily screw up. You have to show us just enough, right? And it's and without giving too much to keep up the suspense of it. It is just that sequence. That's the sequence where I was like, all right, definitely show me what this guy can do with an Evil Dead movie. I'm very
Yeah.
much interested in that.
You specifically called out the car spider. I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay, so let me just ask you a question, and maybe this just came from my. Are we supposed to believe that that biggest giant fucking spider that they run into or almost run into with the car at the end is the same spider that he originally took from the store that's just been getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it kind of recognizes that he's the one who like brought it out of that situation, and just that's why when he just says turn the lights off, because the lights are what's been stopping them this whole time. So he says turn the lights off, and then the big ass spider just runs away. First of all, super anticlimactic, I thought. He just stands out there for a while, and there's this tense back and forth. And he just says, shut the lights off. They shut the lights off, and the spider runs away, and then they just leave. Is that what we're supposed to believe is like that? Because if that's what this is, that's a little much for an ending here. That's a little overboard. Like, is that or is it just a huge spider? It's the only one we ever saw that size. And that's what makes me feel like, is that what they were doing here?
Oh God, you might be onto something because I didn't think that because the spider, like when he gets it at the beginning, it's not like getting progressively bigger while it's in the little container. So I didn't think like these spiders just get
No,
bigger that
well, and they
quickly.
they explain that because there was a point where Jordy was looking at some spider information on the internet, and he mentions that there are certain species within this family of spiders where the females will spontaneously grow bigger to protect their offspring. So I think it
Oh,
wasn't
I
getting
missed
bigger
that.
until it started laying eggs. And that's when it
Gotcha.
started getting, and I
Oh,
feel like the idea is that with each
oh.
generation they're all getting bigger up the chain, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
each generation, A gets bigger, B gets bigger. So that would mean all the way up the end, the first one is like the hive mother is gonna be that big queen spider, right? But then there was
Oh,
also a part of me that's like,
yeah.
isn't that the spider that gets killed when the dude puts his foot in the shoe? So I don't know. Maybe I'm just
I
reading
don't know
too much
either.
into it, but I was like, is that what's happening? Is that's the only
You know
thing
what
that
would
made
really
sense
help?
to me about why the spider just runs away? Why did the spider just leave? What happened there? Did I miss something? It's
The
like they just
spiders
had
need to be
a
listed under the IMDb cast page so I could figure out which spider is which.
the
Like name them,
spider.
be like Michaela played Mother Spider and Jeremy played
Oh, they
Spider
don't
in
have
Shoe.
that.
No, they didn't tell me which spiders.
Oh,
Oh, one thing I did want to comment on, I mentioned it jokingly, but it's clear they used real critters
oh
for a
yeah,
lot of this. And,
yeah.
and like the spiders, but they also had like millipedes and all the other bugs
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning. And like I said, terrified of spiders, but I am fascinated by any sort of, we'll just say, wildlife. Like, I love aquatic creatures. I love insects from afar. I like snakes from
Oh
afar.
yeah, I'm
Like,
fascinated
I'm
by
fascinated by
critters
them.
for sure.
Exactly. So the fact that they did that, I actually wanted to see like a behind the scenes of this more than I do in a lot of movies where I'm like, I want to see like how much of this was real spiders? How did you get the actors like acclimated to working with real spiders? Did anybody in the cast have arachnophobia? Like I have questions that I really want to check out a lot of how this was made more so than I do with like movies that I just enjoy the special effects of. That I thought was really cool that this was not just bad CGI for the whole time. And I think that is a big part of why it worked for me too. We got these close ups and it was clear these are real spiders in a lot of these scenes, and it
Mm-hmm.
really added to that fear that I had because I was like, oh god, is that actually a spider crawling on him? I couldn't see it. Was it CGI? Was this a real part? Like it, I really like that they use a lot of spiders that I think a lot of people have gone CGI for.
Sure,
Now I'm gonna look it up
absolutely.
in there and be like, not a single spider was used in this. We
Well, if there
we
were
don't
no
even
real
really know what
spiders, they
spiders
did a
look
damn
like.
good job. Here's
Yeah.
another question I want to throw your way, Michelle, because there's a couple of
Mhm.
specific scenes and moments that tie in. Uh, do you think the idea here is that this is just some crazy mutant spider breed that just does this by nature? Like once they start reproducing, they reproduce very quickly, they spread very quickly, they get bigger very quickly. That's just what they do. Or do you feel like there was something also supernatural at play here?
I think this is just what that spider does.
Okay.
Because in the beginning, the way that they go out to the desert and they are hunting these spiders, I think for the most part, they're not just going to kill a friend if one gets bit. These are clearly people like this is what they do. They know what the appropriate reaction is, and I
Right.
think very few times would be oh, I just need to kill my friend without emotion,
Yeah.
unless there's something special about
We
this spider in particular that they know
yeah,
it's not good.
we gotta cut his head off and smash it before the eggs hatch. Is essentially, yeah, we
Exactly.
gotta make sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I only
I think
ask
that opening
because
scene really solidifies it's this
yeah.
spider in particular.
I
Ugh.
do agree with you. I only ask because there were a couple of moments in here that are also very like, just a really interesting moment that I enjoyed is when Caleb first takes the spider out of the plastic tub to put it in the shoebox. They get you all these close-ups of all the other critters just freaking out, just like they can suddenly smell it. You know, they can sense it once that cover is off of it, and they all start like I thought that was really, but that also made me wonder like, oh, is this like evil spider, like not just like
Possessed
fucked up, so
spider.
like evil spider. And then again, also just the speed at which everything happened. But there was also one moment, and I figure what it is just, maybe there was a baby pod that popped open. But there was a moment early on, I think, after like somebody's going to like they stomp on a spider that's like under a shirt, and then they pick it up, and like all these tiny spiders.
That bathroom.
I thought,
Ugh.
like, for a moment, I was like, is this going to be some crazy, like, demon spider that when you kill the big one, it just smashes into little ones, and then the little ones can come together to make bigger ones, and they're all going to eventually meld together and be the giant. That didn't happen. That would be a pretty sweet movie. Where you got, like, the spiders can all slowly just, like, mold together to become Mega Spider, like the Power Rangers or whatever, but, like, by the millions. That's
I don't like
I did.
I like the Power Rangers. I do not want a gigantic Megazord whatever.
Another random moment I had is when they first come into that one lady's apartment and she's dead and her head's twitching. And it turns out it's just that's because they planted a bunch of eggs in her head and they're about ready to burst out. But I said to myself two things. I said, if it turns out that not only are these crazy spiders, but they also turn these people into zombies, I'm out. I'm done. I'm not even going to finish this movie. That didn't happen. But then I had another thought. I was like, what if one of these spiders is so big at this point that they're going to get close and it's going to lurch up and it's just going to like have this lady's severed head on the spider? That would have been cool. They didn't do that. That would have been cool. Spider person.
This is such a tiny thing that didn't work for me and kind of brought me out. But all these spiders click, and I did not like that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they really do.
I didn't like it though because I kept being like, "Oh, this is a species of spiders that clicks." Like spiders tap the ground to communicate, and like they do have kind of a little chirping sound, but I can't imagine that they would be hunting and trying to communicate to other spiders all the time. And so I just thought too much about spider facts and being like that kind of brought me out. I think if they were like a stealthy killer, it would have been so much worse. The sound is it alerts us. And so I think if they had just been completely silent, it would have been even scarier.
Right, but you know what, being complete I don't necessarily agree because yes, it might be scarier with the sudden startling moments, but if what you're trying to do is create a sense of ongoing tension like in a high-speed action situation, but you don't want to show too much, you have that sound to help maintain that connection. You can make the sound get louder and quieter. You can do a lot with it to maintain your tension level. So
you know
I'm
what
guessing
they should have done with that sound then?
What?
They should have been able to hear it in the walls.
Oh yeah, that would have been something.
Because it was just like they'd make eye contact with the spider with way too many fucking eyes, and then it would start clicking. And I think that's like the fact that the spiders were predatory instead of just doing what nature told them to do. The moments where it's like stalking these people and making a slow clicking noise and like slowly approaching, kind of like a tiger. I think that was part of it. Is it was like a more of like a predatory wildlife as opposed to like this is scary because this is just a spider surviving. They don't know like and kind of giving like the spiders a moral compass. It's kind of what that felt like of like they're just mean spiders and they're evil.
Oh, yeah. Well, I definitely got the impression that they were very aggressive, violent, territorial spiders.
Yeah. When they attacked that one lady's face.
They attack a lot of faces in this. They have a taste for faces.
why would she put her face back up there? She's like, this mask is gonna save me. No, lady, no, don't put your head up there.
Yeah.
And she
Also, that
did, and
mask
then she
is
just Febrezed them.
that
Oh,
it wasn't Febreze. It was.
I know, I
But
know.
what I did
But I
want to
like the
say
idea of
is,
like you're lavender scented and you're
a
dead.
bandana over your face isn't gonna do shit against the amount of bug spray pyrethrins she
Oh,
put into that crawl space. That was
yeah,
maybe the most unbelievable part of the movie. But
yeah.
yeah, this
But
was
maybe if she breathed it in, she'd die quickly.
yeah,
Maybe that's what she was hoping for. If the spiders are gonna get me, ugh,
yeah.
ugh.
Spiders.
They have too many
Um,
legs. Only octopuses should have 8 legs. Like 4 people, 2 dogs, 1 octopus. Those are all acceptable numbers of legs. Or like very few things benefit from suddenly having 8 legs, but like centipedes and millipedes, maybe. I think that could be an improvement if they suddenly had 8 legs instead
because
of
it'd be
hundreds.
much
But
less. I see what you're
it'd
doing
be
there.
much
Yeah.
less. Yeah, but aside from that, like it's too many legs. What do you need that many legs for? You run a marathon? I'm scared of anybody who runs for enjoyment. Fuck that. Too many legs.
You know what
I don't like
bothers
it.
me even more than too many legs is also at the same time too many eyes.
Yeah.
Who
The
needs
better
more
to
than
see
2
you with,
fucking
my
eyes?
dear.
They
Ugh.
have 6 eyes, Michelle. 6 eyes.
I know. I only have 4 eyes, and that's too many.
It's way too
Right.
many
I wear
eyes.
glasses. I wear
Way too
scratch
many.
glasses. God damn it.
20 eyes
There's
in
too
my
many eyes.
head. They're all the same.
Yeah, like how do you know which eye to look at? You know when you're like concentrating on like like making eye contact with the person, but you're like, should I be watching the left or the right eye
Well,
because
you
they're so
can't.
close to you that
First of
you're
all, never
spiders.
make eye
You got to
contact with a
rotate.
spider. It'll fucking kill you. Didn't you learn that from this movie, Michelle? Don't
Well,
make eye contact with a
despite
spider.
my spider fear, I do relocate them outside, even though I know that they're probably gonna
No,
die anyway. It
that's a
makes me
good
feel
thing to
better.
do, but don't
Li-
look them in the
Yeah,
eye when you do it.
but I do. I talk to them,
You can
because it
talk to
helps
them
me feel
without
better.
looking them in the eye, Michelle.
But then, like,
Never look
how
a
will I
spider in
know
the
where they
eye.
are?
Never look a
Did they take
spider.
as an act of aggression?
That's a thing that old wives say, isn't it? Never look a spider in the eye. Isn't that folk wisdom from somewhere? I don't know.
I don't know a lot of old wives.
I don't
They're
either,
all
for
dead.
that matter. They're
All the
all
old wives
dead.
are dead.
Wow. Jesus, that got bleak
I'm
all of a
becoming the new
sudden.
generation of old wives.
Oh,
The women who came before us are dead now.
this is fair. Do you have anything else to say about
Oh.
Infested, Michelle Verminace?
That Jordy dying scene was very fucking
That was-
upsetting.
Yeah, I will say that is the one real heavy emotional moment that did connect with me.
Oof.
It like the whole thing from like through the death sequence and all of that, through the emotional. Here's what I like: the emotional breakdown of Lila, and then they're in that place, and then you just hear him screaming in the distance, and that all goes on just a little longer than you want it to.
And you're
then
watching them reacting to
yeah,
it and
my
trying to cover their
favorite bit
ears.
of the whole
Oh.
thing is it finally fades to black and he stops screaming in the distance and the music goes silent and you think it's finally done. And then in the black, you hear nothing but just a piercing scream from Lila. It's just
Yeah.
like that was an intense sequence. You know what,
Yeah.
Michelle? Talking through this, I feel like a 3 skulls for just not gelling well is maybe not the right way to go. I'm gonna bump this up to a 3.75. Because, like I said, the individual
Whoa.
elements are all great, and I don't think the way it gelled is really the movie's fault. And so I want to reflect that a little bit more. The more I've sat here and talked about it, as has happened on more than one occasion, there are things about this movie. Speaking of having a moment to sit down and look at it, I don't know if you guys have read my ghoul blog at WeWatchShudder.com about Late Night with the Devil. I was fucking wrong about that movie. Holy shit. That movie is so goddamn good. Go to WeWatchShudder.com, read my ghoul blog. I'm not fucking revealing any big, deep, dark secrets here. Maybe a couple, I guess. There were a couple
You
of really
revealed
well
deep,
hidden
dark
things.
secrets for me.
There were a
Yeah.
couple of really well hidden things that I was able to discover. But even just the way, once you're aware of the story, being able to go back and appreciate this is so well written, it's so layered. they prefigure so many things in so many different ways. I realize this is not a Late Night with the Devil episode, but I wanted to get that out there. But yeah, this movie, I think people should check it out. There is one more thing that I wanted to talk about, and I almost forgot about it. The thing in this that would be like of all the things that happened to them in this movie, I think the one that would fuck me up the most is having to go through that hallway that's just completely enshrouded on all sides, top and bottom, with webs, and the light keeps turning off every now and then, and they gotta just walking that hallway because you are completely surrounded with nowhere to go. Yeah, I here's what I'm telling you, Michelle. This happens in my apartment building, I'm fucking dead.
Oh yeah, demolish it with me inside. I can't
Yeah.
even just burn it down. The part where after the bathroom, when they get Lila and Jordy out of the bathroom and they're just duct taping that bathroom, and they're like, we just don't use that bathroom now. Like, that's a fair reaction, even if you didn't know that. But like, that just, sorry, we don't have a bathroom in our apartment now. You have to go to the gas station down the street every time, and that's fine.
We just don't.
There would never be enough of like an exterminator that would make that okay. I would never feel safe in that bathroom again. May as well leave it taped forever.
Michelle, I watched this movie. All I did was watch this movie in my bedroom, and I am not going to feel safe in my bedroom for several days. I didn't see any actual spiders here. I have never once in the entire time I've lived here seen a spider. I'm going to be creeped the fuck out in this room just because I watched this movie in this room. Some of that's like I said early on, when there's still just like real spidery spiders. Fuck, man.
I am terrified of a spider crawling into my ear and laying eggs. And
you read that story
too? The blankets, huh? I put my blanket like way up around my ears until I fall asleep, so that I feel like this blanket will be my defense against them. They're just waiting for me to fall asleep, and I'm gonna be doing that a lot more intensely, and like wrapping my entire head in a towel. If I suffocate, whatever, it's better than a spider laying eggs in my brain.
Right.
Yeah. No, this I thought I was getting better about my spider fear because I did find a spider like 2 months ago. I was like, hey, buddy. And he was like on my desk, and I did not scream once. I panic talked at him while I put him in a box and I brought him outside, and he was kind of big, and he was clearly not happy about it. He was like putting his 2 front legs up, and I was like, hey, bud, hey, sorry, you can't stay here, and my cats will eat you. And I'm not saying that they should, but like, I'm not going to stop them. And so I was like trying to get him outside. And now I feel like we've completely reset it. And the next spider that shows up in my house, I'm so sorry to them, but I cannot be held responsible for my actions. I don't think you should kill spiders, but sometimes I enter like a state where like I just need to survive and I can't help myself.
Do you
We got a spider catcher, by the way. Do that. The little like toggle thing with the little handle at the end. It works great, except I found a really big spider once and I used the spider catcher and it fucking fought back against the bristles and got out.
That's fucking fantastic. Oh my god.
I picked him up again. He got outside. But
I'm not gonna before we wrap up here, Michelle, this memory just came to me. I'm not gonna ask you to relive any specific traumatizing spider moments from your past, but can I tell you the single most terrifying spider experience I've ever had in my life?
I would love to hear it.
Okay, so this was again in the trailer house that had spider problems because it's a trailer house, and they have spider problems.
Most spiders, more problems.
Most spiders, more problems. Yes. So one day, I am making brunch for my father and I, just some eggs and fried potatoes and just some. Really, I call it. It was just a late breakfast. It wasn't really a brunch. But we're both just going to sit in the living room watching TV and eating our eggs and taters and whatnot. And so I take him his plate. And then I go and get my plate from the kitchen. And I walk out into the living room and I turn around so that my back is to the chair to sit down. And before I can sit down, a very large spider on a single strand of webbing just very quickly propels down from the ceiling right into the middle of my plate of food. At which point I screamed like a little girl and hucked this full plate of food across the fucking room because the spider scared the shit out of me. Now, keep in mind, my dad is sitting there eating his breakfast. His only experience is I turn around, scream, and throw a plate of food across the room. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I was like, "Sorry, this is a spider." And
that spider thought it was Tom Cruise and So Smooth.
Oh
Like it saw
my
Mission
God.
Impossible once and is like, I'm gonna get this egg and he's gonna have no idea. It backfired.
Just perfect aim right down into the middle of my. I screamed and I just, without even just on instinct, I watched the fucking eggs and potatoes just go fly. It took forever to clean up the living room. Oh God, no
Probably would have
spiders.
done the same.
I
would have just like if I had like the ability to react appropriately, the appropriate reaction is just setting the plate down and letting the spider have it, or like taking that. You're gonna throw the plate away anyway. Like, may as well let it eat.
No,
first,
I think
and
my
then take the
reaction
whole
was
spider
perfectly
outside.
appropriate.
I'm saying if I was able to react, you clearly went with the id response, and that's fine. I'm saying if I could react, I would just set it down and walk away. That spider it's hungry. I don't want to mess with it. I know what I'm like when I'm hungry.
In retrospect, to this day, one of the funniest goddamn things that ever happened to me, but Jesus, that thing scared and of course, I mean, it was probably about as big around maybe as a nickel, but it landed in that plate and it looked like it was a fucking tarantula, just because it startled the Christ out of me.
Spiders should never touch potatoes. That's not a fair thing.
Spiders should never touch anything. They should not exist.
They should just hover. That's so much worse.
Just
hoverboard
oh my God.
spiders.
There's just fucking spiders everywhere in the air.
Oh my God. John Dies at the End is one of my favorite books of all time. And I wish I could remember the exact quote, but he talks about the Goliath man-eating spider. And he says that the Goliath man-eating spider cannot fly. And the only reason he knows that it cannot fly is because if it was the flying Goliath man-eating spider, then we would call it Sir, and we would be its subservient people. And I agree with that. Great fucking book. I did think of one thing that I've heard that people who don't know the book liked it, and I can see that. I couldn't remove myself from it. Unfortunately, sometimes like there's stuff that I watch and I'm like, oh, the book was better, but that's fine. Like book and movie should be an entirely different experience from one another. I actually talked to a friend about that in depth yesterday, talking about Ready Player One and how both the movie and book are good but completely separate properties, basically. But John Dies at the End, I couldn't remove myself. Same problem with Walking Dead. I love Walking Dead, but I could not get into the TV show because all these people are dead. How am I supposed to remember that they're alive in the show? I got to keep track of what the fuck Glenn's doing. Too many people.
Fucking Glenn. I found the quote,
Glenn.
By the way. That's why I asked you how you felt about the movie, because I wanted to kill time while I found the quote. Here's the quote from John Dies at the End. It says, David Wong. That's from John Dies at the End, right? Isn't that the guy's name, David Wong?
Yep, that's his pen name for it. His
says,
real name is Jason Parnack, something like that.
I know the Goliath fucking bird-eating spider can't fly because if it could, it would have a different name entirely. We would call it Sir because it would be the dominant species on the planet. None of us would leave the house unless a Goliath fucking bird-eating spider said it was okay.
Yeah, great books. I own all of them if you want to borrow them sometime.
We may have to do that. Well, Michelle,
yes?
yes?
I did want to say my one quick thing of how this could have been improved. You said you didn't really like the French hip hop. What if they replaced the French hip hop with "It Don't Mean a Thing If It Ain't Got That Swing," like the Toxic Avenger Part 2 from 1989, where they just played that song on repeat for like an entire
I never need
minutes.
to hear that song ever again for the rest of my life.
I kind of want to like make a little video that is a scene from this movie. Like when Jordy's dying, the background music is "It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing."
No.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
That would ruin it. What are you talking about?
Ruin it or make it better.
You
There's
may be
only
onto
one way.
something.
Let's all find out together.
Right on. Guys, coming up
Oh.
next week, we got Michelle in review because April is all. How the fuck are we getting into May already? We also got, if you've seen the schedule, coming up next week, no new Shudder drops, so we're going back and picking up one that Michelle was particularly interested in checking out. We are going to watch the year 2000, or was it 99?
I don't remember which one.
Anyway, American Psycho is the movie that we're going to be watching. If you've never seen it before, it's a good opportunity to check it out. If you have seen it, good opportunity to check it out again. I've seen it a couple of times, but it's been a minute. And I've also read the book. Have you read the book, Michelle?
Oh my God, the book is one of the most fucked up things. I've read a lot of Stephen King. There is a scene in that where I'm like, this is one of the most fucked up things I've ever read in my life.
I don't like
I
the
love
book.
the book, though.
Oh, wow.
I like the book.
Well, we're going to talk about the movie. At least we'll probably talk about the book a little bit as well if we're getting into that. That's all coming up. Make sure you check out WeWatchShudder.com. It's got our schedule. The guy at the end is going to tell you about the social medias, all that good stuff.
We just need to watch, or we need to just have book and movie parties where we read the book and we watch the movie and then we talk about it. Because apparently that's my theme this week. Talking to everybody. I talked to my coworker about Walking Dead on Monday. I talked about Ready Player One last night. Today we're talking about John dies at the end. Apparently that's the theme for the week. Now American Psycho.
Talk about good night, Michelle.
Good night, Michelle.
For more horror content, visit WeWatchShudder.com, where you'll find our world-famous, patent-pending Ghoul blog and Squelch files, as well as a schedule of upcoming episodes. Find us on social media at WeWatchShudder on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and I guess Twitter if you're still doing that for whatever reason. You can email us. mail@WeWatchShudder.com is the address. mail@WeWatchShudder.com. You can even call and leave us a voicemail, 701-566-9510. No, really. 701-566-9510. Give it a shot. See what happens. We Watch Shudder is a production of Rat Factory Media.